Yeah. Speaking of the fans, my BlackBerry is blowing up, and we have a ton of questions that we want to get to. First one is from Only Life Awaits, and they want to know what the hardest part of making this new record was.
Just have the length it took.
The length of it, yeah.
That was all it was. You would just get really tired. That's once you thought you were done, you were starting over. And then when that was going on and on, and then you would just run out of energy. You would just get really and before that, there was this brief period of like artistic kind of stasis that was happening. That didn't feel very good. Before we had met up with Rob again, we're kind of trapped, and we didn't know what was going to happen with the band.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that uncertainty, like putting as much work in as we did, as much time in as we did, and to not really know what the end result was going to be. I mean, at times it's fun, but it's your lives. It's your livelihood too, and if you're kind of
want to start it. Like that was hard. It was like it's our lives, but our lives just became like sitting in studios and then scrutinizing the work so much. We just want to start our lives again. We missed being on stage. We missed seeing fans. We missed making videos and. That was the hardest part, though.
Now, you are back on the road now.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. How long's the tour been going on so far?
Well, we did a short run throughout the UK and Europe in November. I'm sorry, midway through October,
right?
Yeah. And we did about a week of stuff over in LA, doing a week here, and then we fly to Tampa.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing as extensive of a tour as you did on Black Parade, or?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think when we do that, I think we're going to be smarter about it and dial it back more and not over-tour as much,
Cool. Here's a question from Strange Chemical, great Twitter handle. Which album was more difficult to make, Danger Days or The Black Parade?
Yeah. Each record has these trials and tribulations. They're always journeys. I think if you don't take that journey, you don't get to that next level. You need to go through all of it in order to come out on the other side. And for this band at least, we always need to reinvent ourselves and reimagine what we can do. So I think they're both were really fun. Both had their hard times, but it's just different. This one was just a lot longer.
Cool. This is from Hufflepuff 1980. Obviously, some Harry Potter fans watching. The new album has a positivity that the Black Parade didn't have. Is this a reflection of the changes in your personal lives?
Absolutely, yeah. I think much like the music informs the visual, your personal life informs the music. And I think we had hit a point where, I know for me personally, I hit a point where I was happy and I felt like I'd finally deserved to be happy, and I had to accept that, and then in accepting that, opened up a whole different spectrum for me, with which to work in, and a whole other, a whole lot more honesty was available to me that wasn't there before. I would just kind of hide behind metaphor or dark poetry and fictitious stuff to say what I really wanted to say. Now I just come out and say it, even if I'm, pissed off about something or not. That's why I think the lyrics on this record are so direct.
Right. We have a lot of questions about this. At what point did you decide to dye your hair red?
Very early. I just waited a long time to do it because I know how hard it is to kind of maintain, and we were just busy working.
Right.
When you're kind of making a record, you're in a kind of physical stasis too, and then eventually you hit a point where you feel like the record might be ending, or you might be close to the end, and then you kind of physically start to transform yourself. I think that kind of happens a little bit to everybody. Yeah. When we make the record, I know that during Black Parade there was a point where I just came in one day with white hair, and that was because I knew that had something to do with the end, Right.
Right.
But I had been talking about this for a really long time. I was, I knew that I wanted a lot of color, and I knew it had to come from certain spots, I plan on it. I think even 6 months before.
Yeah, I'd say at least midway through the Rob record.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the look,
thank you.
Good change. Here's one for Sucker for Ludo. Now that you guys are back on tour, what have you missed the most about it?
Oh man. Well, not the plane flights.
Not the plane. Yeah, lots of flying this
lately. Not the
lately.
flights at all.
No.
That's definitely not. I guess just being able to play songs for people live.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's such an amazing part of being in a band. You know, like when you're in a band, you have all these different factions. It's like, you know, the writing creative side, the recording side, where you have to be, you know, very technical and still keep creative in mind, but at the same point, like you're like a tight fist, like just trying to like get it through it. And then the touring side, where I mean, just playing live is what we live for, you know.
Yeah.
But you're, of course, you're away from home, so like everything kind of has its pros and cons. But I just playing shows, you know, and getting to meet the kids and seeing how crazy they look now with like their Killjoy outfits and stuff. It's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I missed a lot of the cities, you know, just like and friends that we met along the way. That you know, it's been like 4 years since we've seen some of them.
Right.
The camaraderie on stage, I think I miss a lot. Like playing this live show with your friends and kind of looking around each other and smiling. A lot of times you're so lucky to be doing what you're doing. It does feel like an inside joke. And so it's a lot of times when you're up there, it is kind of like you're all sharing this inside joke. Like wow, we're really here doing this, and it's very surreal and it's a lot of fun. I miss that feeling on stage of like playing music with your friends, and doing really wild and crazy stuff in front of a lot of people. You know.
Now, the record's still really new. Are you at the point where you're seeing fans sing the songs back to you from the stage? Like,
Yeah.
are you getting
Yeah,
that
I think
reaction?
yeah, which is weird. I think from the first London show we played,
Yeah.
you know, kids knew the material, and I mean the fan reaction to the new material has gone, I think, above and beyond anything that we could have expected. You know, I mean, from that first show, we just felt so good to be back on stage and playing the old material, but then the new stuff too. It's, you know, we have the best fans, and the the support has been incredible.
I was gonna say, every time we play Planetary, like literally from the minute the first time we played it live, it was like the roof was gonna come down.
Nice.